Hi everyone, it's Justine here to intro our podcast episode with BUCKTOOTH. BUCKTOOTH is a group Depop started by 3 friends, Emily, Emma, and Sarah, trying to make slow fashion a more inclusive space. Recently, Asha and I got the chance to Zoom with Emily and Emma, 2/3 of this self-categorized anti-brand, and talk with them about finding their own personal styles, sustainability, trend cycles, thrift tips and tricks, body image, TikTok, and more. Make sure to follow them on Depop at BUCKTOOTH, TikTok at shop_BUCKTOOTH, and Instagram at BUCKTOOTH_HQ.
Okay, so first question is how do you guys know each other? And then when and why did you start your Depop?
Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk about how you know Sarah first?
Okay.
And then how you guys started it?
Yeah, not that any of this matters, but our Depop used to be just like a small account that my friend that I met in college that she was using. She had like 600 followers and I was like,
Sarah LOL.
Whoa. I was like, there's 600 followers. Like, what are we doing? Like, let's be famous. And so we started the Depop like my second year of college, I think. So whenever the fuck that was, time doesn't make sense.
2017?
Sure. Maybe. You're probably
like
more
4 years ago.
Yeah. And then we've known each other because we're from the same hometown.
Yeah, we're both from Temecula.
Yeah.
And we went to the same like middle school and high school, but we didn't interact really, except one time. One time when I was in middle school, I was in like 8th grade and Emma was like a freshman, and I always thought she was like so cool and beautiful and like older, you know? It's like, oh my God, like popular girl.
I mean, I was in high school. So
we were like, I don't know how this like went down, but we were like at a Starbucks together in this big group, and I was talking about how I wanted like a gray lipstick, and she just goes, I have one in my bag, and then puts it on me. And then we didn't speak again for like several years, and then once I moved out of like my hometown, we ended up like reconnecting through mutual friends.
Yeah, and then she came and like visited me in SLO where I went to school
like a year and a half ago.
Hey, do you want to maybe also sell clothes?
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Yeah, so her and Sarah ran it first for like the first 3 years, and then like right before the whole COVID thing went down, I ended up joining in with them.
Long-winded, yeah. But there you go, all the details.
And you're both in Temecula still right now?
I'm just visiting because my mom still lives here, but I live in LA.
Okay.
And I, unfortunately, yes.
And Sarah lives in San Luis Obispo, where she went to college.
We're all the way
scattered.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys all are just like thrifting from where you like your own areas that you live?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How do you like coordinate, or everybody just shoots on their own?
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone like, so whoever sources the item gets like the money from it, is responsible for shipping it, like has to do all the work involved with that.
It's essentially 3 different Depoppers on one
account. Yeah. And then we just have like a little spreadsheet where we track each sale and like we color code it for each person. So then we know how to like divide the money that's in the PayPal or whatever.
Yeah.
And it works fairly easily. Sometimes it's complicated with like bundles, but usually we'll
buy
just
something
like
for both of us.
Yeah, we'll cover like the shipping costs on our own and ship separately. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Thank you.
Okay, next question. How would you describe your personal style?
You first.
I don't know. This actually, you know what? That's fair. I like really obnoxious colors, and like this makes sense. Like this blue orange that make your eye cross. Like I like when
that make your eye cross.
That make your just one eye cross. That make your eyes cross. I just really obnoxious. I love 60s and 70s because they had really obnoxious colorways
and 60s and 70s patterns. Silhouettes too.
Yeah, I love those silhouettes as well. Well, thanks. Okay. Yeah, and then also just like funny t-shirts and shit.
Yeah. And big jorts.
Big
jorts. Yeah. Jean shorts.
Yeah.
Mine is a lot of like, I tend to like fall on like the edgier side, right?
Yeah, trashing.
Yeah, like right now, this isn't honestly inaccurate.
Yeah, she's dressed like me right now. I don't know what's happening.
But yeah, I dress like dark colors and like edgy kind of like DIY grungy stuff. But also I really love like ironically wearing real tree camo and like trucker hats and like shit. Like I don't know.
Very on brand.
I truly think that I like was from Tennessee in a past life or some shit, because I just love like trucks. Like give me a t-shirt with a truck on it and like I'm set. Like I'll wear it every day. And then just kind of like trashy Paris Hilton, Lindsay Lohan, Y2K kind of vibes too on occasion.
I love that. That's like, you described my best friend style, and then like Emma described like.
Oh, that's cute.
That is cute.
Okay, so this one wasn't on like the question sheet, but just like branching off of talking about your Depop, like, do you guys prefer having sort of like a group Depop versus doing it on your own? I don't know if like
100%.
Like your own, like when you just started, because I know I've only ever sold clothes like by myself, but do you want the group aspect of it?
Definitely. Like I sold casually on like my own account prior to joining in with them. So like I've experienced being a solo seller, but not on like the same kind of scale that like BUCKTOOTH is right now. But I think it's super nice to be a group because there's like an external accountability with it. And like if one of us misses like a message or something, like another person will send a screenshot being like, hey, someone's asking this question, like you should go respond to it. And then also like if one of us, there's been periods of time where like someone has to take a few days off or like a week off for whatever reason, especially like around the holidays. And it's nice to not have to completely close the shop down in those instances. And like the trust that I have in you and Sarah to like
let you
take over and like keep things running if I have to step back is super nice as well.
I 100% agree. I really would recommend, if I can, to any Depop seller, any top seller, to either like hire someone, which sucks because then money
and the dynamic's different.
Exactly, much different, or to work with a partner. And I just think it's way better that way. We are like each other's like secretary kind of, and we help each other out. And
it's like, I feel a sense of like responsibility to do a good job with what I do, not because like I'm being bossed around by you two, but because like I respect you two and like it keeps me motivated. Yeah.
It's like body doubling for ADHD. And
yeah. And then like, do you also feel like it sort of helps you guys stay connected as friends, just because you have like Depop side, but also you're like constantly talking to each other?
Yep. That's a really good question.
I don't talk to people long distance. I'm one of the friends who's like, I'll see you in 3 years and everything better be the exact same, you know, like we're not going to talk, but I'm still going to love you and things should be normal. Also, and so like this has been fantastic to be able to have consistent communication. It keeps me kind of sane, because otherwise I would just hermit. It's
made me like have to, I think I've learned a lot more about like who Emma is as a person and like how we best communicate to each other than I would ever had if we didn't do that. Like if we were just friends, no business shit. Like,
like a deeper level.
Yeah, because like if there's something that like, you know, if one of us is like frustrated about something, or there's a problem that we have to solve and we're both frustrated about it, or like giving like constructive criticism to each other, like all of those things don't really happen organically in just like a normal friendship. And so I've had to like grow my communication skills to be able to like approach those subjects without like creating conflict, and like how to actually listen to like, you know, what you're saying. And, like
it's crazy how much Depop like affects my life and affects my personality.
I've definitely, it's like shaped a lot of like my development in the past
year. I am who I am, because
it sounds like corny, but like just,
I mean, like actually I just hate to say it, but like actually I really am.
The questions that we have to kind of ask ourselves are questions I don't think I would have asked myself as willingly, if that makes sense.
No, that definitely makes sense. Also, like, okay, I'm sorry that I also have like, the more that we talk, I have like questions that aren't on the question.
You're good. I love to talk about myself.
You guys are like, oh, it like, you know, like it changed me. But also I was gonna say, like, I feel like on your TikTok you talked about this too, but people are they'll make comments about like the moral issues on like thrifting. And then also one of the questions that we put on the doc is like your thoughts on the fast-paced trend cycle. And I know that you've discussed that before on TikTok, but I'd just love to hear more about like what you think about that, like how fast trends are cycling, and like what you think about like the future of that. And then also like your thoughts in general, just like to reiterate, for like the morals of like thrifting and people like being like, well, you have to think about like income and like leaving enough for like what they're
Okay, so let's start with the trend cycle question. Like just our thoughts in general about like the we live in a society.
We live in a
like a consumer society where it's just like more.
And where we think it's going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like where you think it's going, and I guess just like your thoughts in general, especially like developing. I feel like ever since, or like the more that I don't buy clothes, let me try to think about how I'm trying to say this, but like
you're good.
The more that I like started thrifting and like stopped buying like fast fashion clothes, I feel like that's the more I started to develop my personal style. But also like with the fast-paced trend cycle, I feel like it gets like harder to sort of like stay true to like, do I like this or do I like this because like everyone else also likes this?
Yeah.
Am I gonna like this when everybody hates it in like 2 weeks?
Should I start?
Yeah.
Okay. So I completely relate to what you're saying, and like in terms of selecting my own clothes, and like I've asked myself those same questions, and like, is this gonna be cool like in a month from now or whatever?
In a week.
I found myself gravitating because of that like fear that like whatever I'm wearing is gonna be out of trend in like 7 days. I find myself gravitating more so now to things that fit my body really well and make me feel comfortable and like accentuate the features that I want to accentuate, as opposed to specific like patterns or cuts or colors or whatever. And I think that trying to escape the grasp of like the rapid trend cycle has made my style a lot more eclectic. Like,
you just see something, you know you like it.
Yeah,
you know, you
exactly.
don't have to see someone else put it on before you can decide. You know?
Yeah, but I also think that like I'm not super ingrained in social media. Like I don't like actively like spend a lot of time scrolling on like Instagram because it makes me not feel good. And also I get like really, really absorbed in it and can't pull myself away. And I think like once I started like stepping away from like Instagram especially, or like watching haul videos on YouTube or whatever, like I was like, I don't think about like if I'm being trendy or not on like a daily basis, but I feel like I definitely used to, like especially when I was like 17, 18, 19 years old. But yeah, I don't know. I've definitely noticed that it's been speeding up in the past 5 years. Like it's so insane now. And I have no idea where the future is going with it. Like it could go one way. And like
I have ideas.
Yeah. Okay, I'll let you take over.
Yeah, but it's interesting. I'll talk to her about it later. I would like to know. But for me, and for Loser in Brooklyn, I think, or something. Old Loser in Brooklyn is a person on TikTok who should totally check out, because she really often talks about the trend cycle and like how to combat it, and like, yeah, pulling yourself away from haul videos is a solution.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of solutions. Also, one quick thing I want to add before I go into this. Another fun thing about personal style, like a BUCKTOOTH tip, is yes, to try to like the things you like about your body, accentuate them through your style,
like what you feel good in.
Yeah. And then also this one I think I learned from Old Loser in Brooklyn on TikTok, was what did you like as like a child? So it's like that inner child shit, but like what did you like fantasize about or like want to be when you were a kid?
I did that without even realizing it.
Yeah. No, yeah, wow. I didn't think about it either, but I was like, when I was a kid, I was obsessed with like
what did you put on your Barbies?
Yeah, shit like that. So that's another really good tip, and I want more people to know that, because I felt like it really helped me, because I've been even struggling from all of this. Mm-hmm. Anyway, where the fuck was I? What was I saying?
Future.
Oh, the future. Sorry. The future of fast fashion cycles and trend cycles. I think that they're going to continue to spiral, and then eventually, hopefully, like in my ideal world, they would just kind of like implode, and there would be so many, there would be so many trends that it would become nicher and nicher. So like the trends that someone like I would identify with will be smaller, and they'll have to do with, you know, a smaller group of people, rather than like everyone having the same House of Sunny dress. You know, like if you're interested in fashion at all, then you get that one like green dress that everybody has.
Like more and more specific groups.
Yeah, like I think that
can't anymore.
Yeah, until they can't anymore. Like eventually it'll just be so niche that it's like I can't even identify with this niche. It's so niche.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that's more ideal, because it stops people from buying pieces outside of their niche.
Yeah, I was thinking that sounds more positive than like what I was thinking. I don't know what I was thinking, but it was like a lot less like
yeah. But honestly, also especially in the realm of like fast fashion, or even like not fast but not slow fashion, like that mid-tier.
House of Sunny.
All the clothes are so poor quality and made out of such flimsy materials that you, even if you don't want to buy a new set of trendy clothes, within a short amount of time you have to, because they wear out, they fade, they break, and if you don't have a lot of money, or like honestly if you're just average, like buying a whole new wardrobe is expensive, period. Like if you're just average and like all your clothes are falling apart at this point, and you need something for school and you need something for work and you want to feel cute sometimes, all of that, it's not sustainable for most people to do the whole capsule wardrobe $100 t-shirt thing. And so in addition to like us essentially being programmed by like media to crave new in the fashion sense, there's also just like a physical reason we have to keep buying more. It's because our clothes don't last, and that's a whole other thing.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. I was just like, I literally could talk for hours because there's so many.
Not to like just like repeat everything that we just said, but I just wanted to touch on the fact that I really think that House of Sunny dress, like the one that you just imagine when you think of House of Sunny, is like literally the perfect example of something. Well, like House of Sunny kind of sort of, I feel like they sort of market themselves as like a sustainable brand, but it's like even brands that are like market themselves as like, oh, you should spend more money on your clothes because then you want to keep it forever and like take good care of it, because the trend cycle is like so fast. Like people spent whole entire paychecks on that and like wanted to wear it forever, but then like there are so many fast fashion dupes. There are so many people who just like bought it because like they saw some girl on Pinterest wear it, and now like a lot of people would like who have it are like, well, it kind of lost the appeal, you know?
I have one more thing to say. Oh my god, it just left my mind. Wait.
You got it. If you don't got it, I have a thing to say. You do got it. Okay. I was gonna say, I think there's a term for that. Isn't it green fishing?
Yeah, green fishing.
Where companies kind of like
or like greenwashing.
I got my back.
You got yours?
Yeah.
Just got it back.
This is kind of a hot take and it's controversial, maybe. I do think it's great that there are options for sustainable fashion, like Reformation, producing new things that are more sustainable than, you know, like Shein and shit. But to a certain extent, if you're creating something new in mass and it's not made out of recycled materials, it is not it is not as sustainable. Not sustainable enough to be the entire solution.
And like
there's emissions from the factories that are making it. Some companies are good, some companies are exploitative in terms of labor, and then the clothes are going to go somewhere still. They might decompose faster and healthier than like polyester, but they're still like, you're still using some form of non-renewable energy to make it, to ship it. And then like, you know, and then it's gonna like sit.
And there's something to be said for like, I mean, I guess in the grand scheme of things, it's like making something that like doesn't need to be made. Like it's not necessary for like a brand new item of clothing to be made, even if it is like sustainable. But then also,
like we could stop manufacturing of all clothing right now and still have enough for generations to come if we were to.
I will say though, like then like the other side of that argument is like, I also think it's a great thing that people that want to make clothes and want to have businesses go do that. And there's a lot of avenues, and that like, they're not just taking that easy way out of doing it cheapest and most destructive.
And like fashion is an outlet for people, and it's like a great way to just like enjoy your life.
Exactly. So I'm not saying like ban them, but it's just, it's not
ban fashion.
It's a part, but it's not the entire thing, you know?
Yes, definitely. There's so many like moving parts, and there's really like a con, like 4 cons to every pro. Like even sustainable they're like drops are limited. Like I've seen a couple like articles about that where it's like you're also sorry, I'm like lagging a little bit, so if I'm ever like cutting you off,
you're good.
But I was just gonna say, like, also when companies do like small drops, I've also seen articles where it's like, okay, like yes, that's good because you don't want to like create mass amounts of clothing, but then when you have a small drop, it creates like a scarcity mindset. So then people are like, I have to like snatch it up really fast. So like that is a problem too. But yeah, there's always
the scarcity mindset thing. I don't know why the first thing that came to mind was fashion brand company. I love them. And they actually are genuinely small batches. Like with House of Sunny, it went so viral. You cannot call that a small batch of anything, you know? So fashion brand company is a company that I love, but because of that scarcity mindset, there becomes like an economy at post sale, like at resale, where it gets more and more expensive. And it's like, where's the ethical, like, where's the ethics in that? Because now it used to be more accessible than it is now. And it's like,
but you could argue that like, I mean, I think it's a little bit different, but at the same time, like people on Depop that are selling secondhand or vintage, there's also a scarcity mindset with things in our shop because we never have the same thing twice. Although we aren't like specifically being like, this is a drop, you'll never get it again. Like it's implied that like, you know,
so all vintage resale shops are guilty of this, of like
I don't think it's a problem. I don't think it's a bad thing. Like it's a thing that I think you can exploit that fact. And like,
that's what I'm talking about. Is when people
like, be like, you need this, you'll never get another chance. Like,
the rare brandy on Depop.
Exactly.
Rare brandy.
But yeah, just the implicit.
There's only one gangster rap made me do this shirt, and if you need it now.
Oh my, no, stop! That just gave me flashbacks. That gave me flashbacks to high school. I don't want to do this.
I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
Stop. On this rare Brandy Melville shirt, starting with $50.
I
want to sell it.
It causes so much drama. I don't know if you guys don't follow this account on Instagram, but there's an account and it's called
Depop Drama.
Oh, it's but yeah, I've seen stuff on my For You page before, and it's just like posts, like not even clothing items, but like posts being like, watch out for rare brandy, like because there's so much Depop.
Oh my god, you shouldn't even have to warn people that rare brandy is not real. But I guess like a lot of people in the app are like children.
Yeah, young, very young.
Yeah, whatever. We're all cringy. We were all cringy once. Maybe not that cringy, but.
Okay. The next question is, or like I guess couple of questions. Your like all-time favorite thrifted item, like maybe you don't wear it a ton, but it's like definitely your favorite, and then most used thrifted item.
Where is it? Okay. Yeah.
We got it ready. We got the dog.
So I knew right when I read the question what my favorite item ever is. Okay, how do I show you? It's this shirt.
It's so unpleasant. In the best way.
It's a rodeo American flag Western shirt. And I love that it's like black and white.
It's so good.
And honestly,
it's ridiculous.
Thank you so much.
Anything with like a photo print.
Like these black, like pearlescent buttons. I don't know if you can see. It's wonderful. Go back up. Like little like snaps. It's just
amazing.
I honestly think this is my most useful item I've ever thrifted.
It's the best of both worlds.
Some everyday wear.
Every time, like, I don't know if you relate, you probably do. Like, do you ever like put on like a nice dress or a cute skirt or like a cute tiny top, but you kind of feel a little bit too exposed, but you don't want to like wear a jacket and like ruin the vibe? Mm-hmm. This guy.
Yes.
And also it's like it's never cold. I live in Southern California. Like it's even in the winter, it's still fairly warm. So like I don't want to wear like a jacket, you know?
No. One of those. Perfect.
And then it kind of like, especially if I'm wearing like, you know, classic little black dress, like super like you know, like accentuates my curves. I like to like throw like the kind of like boxy, like more like masculine thing on top, so I don't
divert the male gaze a little bit.
They'd be like, I don't understand what's going on here, so I'm not gonna look at you. It's wonderful. It's just so sick. I don't know. Your turn.
So speaking of diverting the male gaze, I honestly picked this whim. It's just a massive like full body puffer, and like it's not reversible, but I decided that it's reversible, so it is, and it has a hood. And I found it in France in the €1 bin.
Oh my god.
Yeah, stand up.
And so it's just like I'm a shapeless, like amorphous form. and no one should
It's
look
so
at me.
sick.
No one can
And I like wore it in France, even though it just like the weather did not warrant it. And I would be like smoking a cigarette, like my fucking, yeah. And someone was trying to, I could tell that there was like another reseller there, and he was like, what was that? And I was like, why do you care about this? Like, this could not possibly be worth money. Oh. Yeah, there's a little pocket in here. But yeah, and then I took it on the plane, and I do look like
the hood comes off, it snaps back on. It's fire.
Oh, so convenient.
If we could get pictures of those for the article.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll model them too.
Yeah. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, so there's that. And then most worn, I mean, not this, just because useful. Southern California, but most useful, yeah, like those staple garments, like staple things that you can just throw in t-shirts, like funny t-shirts. When like, if you find a t-shirt you really love, you can just get so much fucking use out of it because you're hanging out in the house, you're working out, or you can wear it and like dress it up or down.
Also for like usefulness, just like lots of like little furniture decor type pieces. Yesterday I found furniture. There's this brand called Le Creuset. It's like a kitchenware brand, and they make really nice enamel shit that like will last for like your whole life, you know?
Yeah.
Yesterday I was thrifting and I found this $100 kettle that I've always wanted for like $5, and I was like,
$4.99.
$4.99, and it was in perfect condition. I think whoever priced it didn't know what the brand was, and I was like, oh my god, I'm using this for the rest of my life. Thank you so much. Because I could never like justify spending $100 for a tea kettle. Yeah. You know, like that's a big deal.
$4.99.
Yeah. I was like, changes. Thank you. Yeah. No. So. Haven't used it yet, but it will be my most useful.
Literally thrift anything. Like, the most useful is honestly, it goes beyond clothes as well.
Yeah.
Lamps. I love thrifted
lamps. Love a
good lamp. Okay, next question is like, what are your go-to outfits, I guess? Like, what would you just put on every day?
Want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. Mine typically is some sort of mini skirt, like usually like a kind of like tennis skirt vibe, but sometimes like a just like pencil skirt kind of vibe.
Bodycon.
Yeah, I love to wear a skirt, and then either like I love wearing a like a big t-shirt or a big hoodie that's almost the same length as the skirt, and the skirt's just like peeking out underneath, especially if there's like contrast between the colors, and it's another like kind of blend of like really like girly and like really like tomboy shit together. And I think that's it. Yeah, like daily basis, hoodie, skirt, and I always wear like chunky heeled combat boot type things because I'm really short. I'm 5'1", and I don't like that. I want to feel bigger.
My personal style has just evolved because of the pandemic, and I think that's something that a lot of people have been experiencing, and meaning like I'm just so much more like lazy. And I also have like, I mean, I already started on my journey of like letting go of having to be again like beautiful for the male gaze and like wearing tight fitting garments, and like as up until I was probably like, I don't know, I think when I was like 20 was the turning point. It's like, I'm kind of old now. So I gotta, so I started to realize like, you don't have to be uncomfortable in your clothes anymore. So like for a majority of my life, it was all thrifted, like as tight as I could get, like 70s bell bottoms or like, really tight belts around my waist and shit like that. And it's just like, and so throughout this time, I've realized like, I don't like it, just wear what you want. And like, if it looks cute, if you feel like it looks cute, then it looks cute on your body, period.
For the day.
Yeah. And so comfort throughout the pandemic has like changed things a lot. And now I'm like, oh shit, like there's so many dresses and things like that I still love that I'm like,
also just like chilling at home. I feel like the pandemic has made me like more open to wearing like risky outfits. Like if I have like a top and some pants and I don't know if they'll look good together, I just like
don't give a fuck.
I just throw them on, wear it for the whole day, and at the end of the day I'm like, did I like that? Yes or no? And I feel like before, like when I was going out into the world every single day, all the time, all day, I would have never done that because like the fear of being embarrassed in what you're wearing was like too strong.
Yeah.
And so like in a weird way, I feel like I've just become like more confident being like weird with my style because I'm just playing dress up at home for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely understand that too. I also feel like, well, I mean, you guys are you out of school right now?
Mm-hmm.
She graduated college and I dropped out of college.
Okay. I feel like the farther I get from high school is like also has to do with like the more I feel like I know my personal style better. Like sometimes I think about what I wore in high school and I'm like, it's like I don't know who that was.
Yeah. Same.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my
next
god.
question.
That's like that'll start the spiral. Okay, so next is what's like next for your small business and like how do you guys hope to grow and like expand more? Because I know that you're on like multiple platforms.
I mean, I think the biggest thing is for me personally, I'm striving to like participate more in like the social media creation because Emma's really been carrying the torch with that one. Because I have like a background in more of like the like kind of creative strategy like side of things as opposed to like the actual like I went to school for advertising before I dropped out. And I'm like so shy online. So I'm not used to like I don't want to put myself out there, but I think it would be good for like our business and help us like grow and show more of who we are if I actually made TikToks, for example. And then other than that, like, at least for me personally, I don't really know what our direction is. Like, I'm kind of playing it by ear and just like seeing where it takes us. And then like when things come up, like you asking to interview us, just jumping on them, you know, like saying yes to the things that come up. But I really can't like predict a specific like
no worries
a linear thing. Like,
I was like, what's your 5-year plan? But
I wish I had one. What about you?
Yeah, I mean what you said, and then also I'm like really ashamed of how size exclusive I still am. Like I really want to strive to like get as many vintage pieces in larger sizes. But like the reality is that one, back then people excluded plus size people from fashion. Like they were excluded.
So bad.
They didn't make clothes big enough. So a lot of times it's hard to come by for that reason. And then it's like in the 80s and 90s, they started to improve like a little bit. But again, they've excluded plus size fashion from like actually like trendy or fashionable items at the time. And so like one of the major complaints is that like none of it's cute. Like none of the plus size clothing is cute. And so I'm kind of like teetering on the balance of like, I really feel like it's more than our duty to make sure that we have ample, you know, selection for everyone, but it's also like there's a lot of like people on TikTok who are saying leave it, like if you're sourcing vintage, plus size vintage, leave it at the shop
for people that want to wear it for themselves, you know.
But then there's the critique of like your shop is size exclusive, where's your plus size items? So it's like I don't what do you want from me? I don't know what to do. Like I want to do the right thing and I want to provide for as many people as possible because what the fuck. And so it's just really hard because I'm literally like I'll stand in the aisle with like a size like nice like cute 40 cargo pants and I'm like no like, what's right.
I think part of that solution is if we eventually grow towards having like an actual like wholesaler like warehouse that we go to, you know, where like we get like hella pounds at once. Finding one that does have plus size pieces and like I don't know, I think for like the growth our focus is just making sure we're doing, this sounds so corny, but like making sure we're doing the right thing and being thoughtful about like each step of the process, and like taking our time making sure we're not like ignorant to other people's experiences or opinions. As opposed to like, I feel like we don't have specific like growth milestones in like a business sense. Like we're not like, we want to get this much revenue this year. Wow.
Just like consistent, like ethical improvement.
Yeah.
I think that's like the future of all businesses, or at least I fucking hope so, is that that's what everyone's goal should be, is that they continue to be more human, you know? So.
Got it. Okay, so that like sort of also touches on like one of the next questions, which was like, how are you trying to use your platforms for positive change? But also, so Depop, it's like sort of like a social media platform almost, and so like just wondering about your thoughts on that, and then also like, I guess in addition to that, like, why did you guys like choose Depop versus like, I know there's like a plethora of like other different selling apps like Poshmark, all that kind of stuff. So,
I'll
like,
answer that one first, if that's okay.
yeah.
Depop just has like Poshmark and a lot of the other ones have cater to a different demographic. I think you could agree that Depop is primarily people within our general age range and primarily focused on like more of the unique vintagey thrifted stuff, whereas like Poshmark, Mercari, and other platforms are, or like eBay, are a lot more focused on like brands. Like people want like, you know, like Michael Kors bags and stuff like that. And like Depop fit how I, like the people on Depop looked like how I dressed too, whereas on Poshmark it's like a lot different. Yeah.
Also, the user interface, so much easier. It's so much more streamlined, which is really like counterintuitive considering like, you know, it's older people on eBay and Poshmark, and those are like the least accessible platforms in my opinion.
Seriously.
Like they're so complex, and like listing an item is just like
such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it was such a pain in the ass. And with Depop, it was just like, since it is sort of like a social media platform and like people kind of see, it's like, it's more of a social exchange. So like you don't have to list, or at least in my experience, when I see top sellers, they don't list like every single detail about every garment, because their personal brand on their shop and the way that they're wearing an item and the way that they're showcasing it in the image does more for the consumer, like the buyer, than like those really complex like descriptions like on eBay and shit like that. Because people, they can get the vibe purely from pictures, and pictures are the future.
And like
I hope video comes in too.
eBay makes you put in all those details.
Yeah,
and like
you don't have a choice. It's so weird.
Yeah, and then Depop, I think that like the 4-picture limit can kind of get annoying sometimes.
It can.
But it also like, I think it encourages like
I think 5 would be perfect.
Creativity though. Like whereas on platforms that allow like hella pictures, no character limit, people will be just posting like this
anything.
Like, why do you have 25 pictures of this one button on the pants? Like,
dude, I literally do that shit.
It.
I'm on Poshmark because I'm helping this woman sell her clothes, like family friend, and I literally do that shit. I just like, I take like a bunch of pictures. Like when we shoot, I just take like a million, just let it rip. And like there's like a 24 limit, so I'm just like, okay, you get all of them, and I'm so guilty of that. And that's why again, Depop is just so much more usable, and it's genius because people take up less time having to sort through clothes because they can tell by the picture like they want that period. So
and then the other part of your question is, what do we think about Depop being kind of built like a social media? I think that another reason I like Depop is that like people are just much more creative on there. Like, and I think the fact that you have like a feed and you have an Instagram like profile encourages that. Like people are really creative with like the like level of detail that they style with. And like I've seen some people make really, really creative, beautiful like hand painted backdrops, for example, or like makeup that's like fun. Like we were shooting today, did blue eyeshadow. It's such like, it's small, but like I wouldn't do that if I was photographing items for like
fucking Poshmark.
For Poshmark, where like the people on that app aren't similar to me. You know what I mean? Like it's like this fun way to express myself without being kind of restricted and anxious about like social, like Instagram in general is like, I think I tend to overthink there. But with Depop, I'm just like, I'm just selling clothes. I don't have to worry about how I look. Like that's not the point. Whereas like if I tried to do the same for Instagram, I'd be like, oh no, do I look okay? Is this outfit cool? Like, you know, like it removes a lot of that like external pressure because you have a specific purpose on that app, if that makes sense.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. And just like getting the vibe of like a certain shop, like knowing that like, oh, I'm gonna follow this shop because like they like consistently have things that like match where I sort of like see myself or like what I like to see. Another thing is, where do you guys source your clothes, and where, like, do you have any tips for finding good vintage items, or like how do you know like if it's worth it, or like what to leave there?
I'll let you start on like where you source, and then I'll go into like how I select things.
Yeah. I thrift. I mostly thrift. She has like a wholesale kind of ish dealer.
I met this guy on eBay.
Yeah, an eBay guy. She's got an eBay guy.
I met this guy on eBay. I found this random eBay shop that had a bunch of cool stuff, and I messaged him and I was like, hey, if I got like all of these things, would you like throw me a special price? And then he was like, yeah, I'm down. And then I tried to send him a message on eBay being like, if I just PayPal you directly and we avoid the eBay fees, like, but eBay like flagged that before I sent it. And then he ends up sending me the box of stuff and like wrote his number in the box and was like, if you need more, text me.
Nice.
And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, this is like some sick freak who's like old and like scary. But he ended up being this kid like who lives in Austin, Texas. He's around my age. He like has like, he's just like super cool. Like I would be friends with him. And
Good
so
guy.
I like, his whole thing is like t-shirts. Like he's really, really good at finding like dope vintage t-shirts. And he always like, I don't know how he does it. He can like always tell like the exact age and like long backstory of each one of them. Like he's great at that research. So I buy like menswear and t-shirts from him semi-regularly. But also we just like text each other memes and shit. Like, so like that's a thing I do.
Business is crazy.
Yeah.
These days.
And then in addition to that, I like, if there's something specific I'm looking for, like trend wise, or I'm just like fixated on like a certain style of baby doll dress for whatever reason, I'll like spend like several hours on eBay, like digging.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's thrifting as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then for identifying vintage, I will text you kind of like a bullet point rundown of these tips if you want to like have a little cheat sheet for the article. But the main thing is the easiest one to look for is made in USA, because unless it's like one of those like new sustainable indie brands, rarely any garment is made in USA anymore. And like honestly started tapering off in the 80s. Like that's when they pushed like a lot of manufacturing overseas. And then, so like that's the easiest one. It doesn't always mean it's 100% vintage, but most likely it's older than the 2000s. The other thing is, I guess if you're in the store, you're trying to find it. First thing first, look at the tag. And if it says made in the USA, you're good. If it says made in Korea, it's possibly from the 80s and 90s, because not a lot of stuff is made in Korea anymore. If it's made in, I think, Mexico, that's another like late 80s, early 90s things. And like as the US transitioned to manufacturing garments mostly in China, they moved away from Mexico production as well in general. And then there's certain like logos that represent like clothing manufacturing unions, and like those will show up on the tag as well, and that's like a surefire way to tell if something's vintage. Like if it has a union tag, it's absolutely vintage. And then if you want to get like really crazy, you can like look at the specific design and color and stuff of that tag and like identify down to the year.
Essentially the internet, like you're amazing at finding these sites and these resources where you can just type in like a serial number on a tag and it'll give information.
So in the store, basically all I look at is I'll look through like racks and see what I think is interesting and cool, and then if it's interesting and cool and it has like the made in USA or like has union tag, or if it just feels like really high quality and it looks kind of old, it's most likely vintage, and you can like do the sleuthing later and find out if it is. And then like on the research end, like once I'm like back home, the best thing I've done is this thing called like the RN calculator or something like that. And basically the FTC issues a 5-digit number to be put on every care tag or like garment. Is that what it's called? Care tag? Yeah. And those numbers like change every year, I think, and they go in chronological order. So if you have that number, you can like reverse search where the garment's from, who made it, and the rough time range that it was made. Yeah, and there's like this one website I use that someone put together where like you can just like type in the 5 numbers and it tells you like a general range of when your item's from, which that has definitely been the most helpful.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, and every once in a while there's like I had these really old pair of Levi's and I couldn't find any information on them. And like they were like super, super unique. And I ended up like researching the zipper manufacturer that Levi's used in different decades and found this blog that literally only talked about zippers. That's it. They had like 100 zippers on their website with in-depth descriptions of like where and when those zippers were from. And I was like, you know, and I ended up getting like the actual age of those pants from looking at the zipper. But like, I don't do that for every piece. That was too much work. I should not have done that.
Late night for you, probably.
Yeah, I was just like bored. 4 a.m. I'm like, I need to know. But yeah, when you're in the store, like look at the material, how it feels, check where it's made. And like, I'll send you the links to like specific resources online where I learned all of this. Like there's some blogs that talk about like different materials and different manufacturer locations that are like connected to different periods of time. Yeah, all of it's pretty easy. Like you kind of get an eye for it after a while. Like I used to do in-depth research on a lot of my items, like when I would get home from like the store or whatever, just for fun and to kind of train my eye. And now for the most part, like I can vaguely guess like when and where something's from, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so next, we love watching your TikTok. And we are just wondering like what you guys think of the platform, like in general. I know that like I feel like there's a lot of like mixed opinions because like there's definitely sides of TikTok where I'm like, this can be like very toxic and I can be on it for like hours and just also feel like horrible. But then sometimes I'm like, oh, like that's cool. I didn't know that before. Or like sometimes you need a silly little video, but also it can become like also like a black hole sometimes.
That's all you.
I don't know why she's hiding her nicotine hit from you guys right now.
I'm like, this is
stepped out of the frame. It's way weirder for you in the frame. Love it. What the fuck was the question? Where was? Oh, TikTok. Oh, okay. Crazy place. I have so many questions about what it is and what everyone is up to on there because I mean it's children. Like there are so many like actual like children there, and I guess that probably sounds demeaning, but I don't mean it in any way other than like
adolescent minds.
Kids, yeah. And I'm like fascinated by the platform because like it seems like this place that you go for like betterment or like, you know, just entertainment.
No. Why would you go to TikTok for betterment?
Because like there's people talking about some good shit on there. They have some stuff to say, you know, there's people who want to like inform and educate, especially young people who are trying to get the word out there about this or that.
No, you're right. I'm just pessimistic.
No. And so like when I'm on there, I'm like so stoked. I'm getting a lot of good information, but then you read like the comments and it's like kids who have like, it's really weird. They kind of like latch on to like a singular bit of information that maybe went viral once. And they kind of like regurgitate like their very like limited knowledge on subjects. And it's just
like no nuance.
Yeah. And it's not policed, you know, there's no way for you to like stop people from like spreading false information.
You can elaborate. Yeah. I think there's a lack of nuance on social media in general just because that's how the internet is. But
your life story in 140 characters,
but like on Twitter you can do threads, and on Twitter you can like link to shit and but on TikTok in particular, they made it, I don't know if this was intentional, but my perspective,
it has to be intentional. I think it's genius for them.
Yeah, they made it absolutely impossible to include nuance on anything.
Yeah,
like
the comments are so short. It's really hard and hectic to get to more. So it just causes people to continue contributing and continue like, you know, pushing the video up in the algorithm so that it gets seen for the app. And it works out for them fucking fantastic. But for like human beings trying to communicate, it's just not human. It's like, it's Some of it's pretty fucked. Like I try to remember, I'm like, this is only real on TikTok. Like this is all reality only on this app. Like if I close the app, it's gone.
Also, like the app really, even if you follow people, like, okay, say for example, like we post a TikTok, we're talking about, we do like a 5-part TikTok and we're trying to explain this concept, like whatever. Even if you follow us, it's going to be hard to follow that storyline unless you specifically go to our page, not only because the app is so distracting, but also because like so many other people are posting content so rapid fire that things like really get lost. And then the way the For You page is set up, I think is like entirely unique to any other platform. Like there's the explore page on Instagram, there's like recommended page on like YouTube, but it's like nowhere near the same. The For You page is just like every time you open the app, you're shuffling all of the voices in the world and like getting like a random batch of them. And by the time you like collect your thoughts on one thing you saw, you've already watched like 15 more. You know? Like it's just like, it's chaos. Insane. It's literally
and for
like
kids, for young people, it's just chaos. It's a lot of like
virtue
signaling. A lot of just confusion and like just like no genuine communication, which is super frustrating.
And I think the pandemic enabled that to a degree because like none of us, we've all had limited social interaction. And I think a lot of people are like emotionally and physically drained from living through a pandemic as well. So like it makes sense to go on an app where you can like hear all these other people talking and see all these other people and like kind of have this like fleeting parasocial connection with like a person or a cause with such minimal effort. Like it's a lot less effort to both make and interact with content on
just
TikTok than any other app, you know? So like I think it's so, especially towards the beginning of the pandemic, it's so easy to just sit in bed and be on TikTok for 6 hours. Like
oh gosh.
I like can't consume content on it. Like if I want to watch TikToks, I like watch like compilations on YouTube because the app interface is so
yeah, that's so smart. I never thought of that before.
Because also I can like
there's no other way to see them and then I just get sucked in.
Or I'll see random ones on Twitter or whatever, but like I also like I feel like I'm pretty sensitive and it's hard for me to detach from like if I see something upsetting on social media, it's hard for me to like separate and be like, okay, this is like, it's fine, it's a person, like this isn't real. And so I feel like when I'm on the actual TikTok app, I'm like scared. I'm scared that like the next video that comes up is gonna be something like toxic or upsetting. And so I like to just go on YouTube and be like, fashion DIY TikTok compilation. And then I can control, I have more safety and control on there.
That's smart.
But also like, I mean, especially like having ADHD, like that app like is so addicting. Like I've never experienced a platform that like has me so like trapped by it, you know? Like I can't pull myself away from it ever. So I just can't use it to like browse.
Yeah, definitely. Also, like, I think that you make a good point, just like not just TikTok, but like social media in general, but also like especially TikTok, just because of the interface. But it's like very easy for things to snowball really fast. And like you said, with like the one person thing, it literally is like you're like whoever made the video, like that one person versus like however many comments, like everybody's sort of coming in and there's not a lot of like, it's just like, because the videos, everything's like so short and like I can just feel my attention span like getting shorter every time I go on it, but like it's hard to get any sort of like context for anything.
Yeah,
I mean, there is no context. It's pretty,
oh my God.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm hoping obviously that they come up with more like ethical design solutions for the app and like more than that, like, what is it? Stop scrolling or like, honestly, I appreciate them for that so much, but also in its effectiveness, it's just not, because you don't have to jump through any hoops to just skip right the fuck past it, you know, and then also be like bitter and like keep watching videos because someone.
I'm like.
So yeah, I just hope that like their designs again like become more human so that people aren't destroying each other on an app because they can't have an actual conversation.
It's terrifying.
It really is. and they're all like 16, and I'm like, oh, they think I'm old, they think I'm like ancient, and I just don't even know how to like communicate that I'm not like an evil person.
Yeah.
In 10 characters or however short those fucking comments are.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. So who would you say is like your fashion inspiration or like a style icon? Just like where do you pull inspiration from?
Mine's literally my mom when she was like a teenager and in her 20s.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's it.
Mine just, honestly, I don't know. I've always thrifted like my whole life for clothes, so I've just never really had the opportunity to like buy specific things that I've seen from someone else, or someone else wearing. But I've always like 60s, 70s stuff. My parents like buy antiques, and that's where I got that. So like it's just, I've always like vintage items just because it's what I was surrounded by. And so at a store, it's just like, does this look appealing to me? Okay. Like I will have that.
Yeah. Like you don't have a specific person.
Yeah. There's no like specific person. There's been like a couple people who I like see on Instagram, but they have like 1,000 followers. And I'm like, you are the coolest person
like the random
in the whole world. And I just want you to know, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Another, we really like that you guys like have featured like Picnic Palace and like your small artists. So just wondering, like, do you guys plan to work with more artists, or do you have more like artists that are like really inspiring to you right now?
Absolutely. I, again, like with this whole like partnership thing, all of that with Depop, I just encourage people so heavily, like, again,
work with
I keep saying this, but the future of fashion is like working with other human beings and like continuing to build off of each other's creativity and creating a circular economy between your followers and my followers. Like chances are, if I like your art, then someone who likes my stuff will also like your art. Like there's a pretty high probability there. And so what's interesting, like I'm just confused as to why more like Depoppers don't do it, because it's like, one, it feels great to be able to give someone a platform when you like believe in their art and like believe in what they have and stuff like that. It feels fantastic. So for purely like selfish reasons, I'm surprised that more people don't do it, because it's just like, yes, like I want to help this person and I can. There's that. And then there's also like with Depop, the number one thing that I tell people when they ask like how to get big is just post as much as you can, like volume. That's literally it. Over and over again, just try to get as much stuff as you can on there. Just do that. And so again, with like featuring an artist, why would you not want a few more posts with your name attached to it? Like, why would you? It just seems like all around the best thing ever.
Yeah. And from like a consumer sense, like as a customer approaching a store with a revolving like featured artist or designer or whatever, it's like, it breaks up any staleness that might be like happening within the shop too. Yeah. And like it it exposes the consumer to like artists they might not have heard of before, and like they can like, even if they don't purchase something, can follow like new inspiring people,
It's literally, I just don't get it. Like it's helpful all around. Like more people need to be doing this. It's so mutually beneficial. Like,
and then we do like plan on ideally, we want to do like a monthly, like a different person every month. And then eventually maybe do like guest sellers that just have like really good style. Like I have a couple of friends that just are beautiful style. And I'm like, I want you to be here for a minute. Yeah, what's up?
Oh, I just have a follow-up thought. It would be really rad, like maybe you could feature a shop that makes like plus size clothing.
Yeah, I've totally thought about that. And also needing more like models or like the people that run shops. Actually, that's really funny. For the first time in a really long time, I made like a random shout out post, because I was just like, I was looking at this seller's page and I was just so overwhelmed with like, they're so talented, like why aren't they famous yet? And I just made a post about them, and they happen to be a plus size shop and they have so much good vintage. So yeah, things like that, like just giving direct opportunity to someone who actually is plus size to format, like have their stuff, like that's the ideal world for me. But in the pandemic, it's just been pretty impossible to like have, to work with people and to like I'm not going to onboard someone onto our shop permanently that I don't know, but I would love to have people of color, and God, we're so white on our shop. And more size range.
Yeah.
Okay, so like touching on that more, like you guys call yourselves like an anti-brand. So I was just wondering if you guys would like explain more what that label like means to you guys and like how you try to cultivate it through your shop.
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest part for me is the first point would be like just being authentic and like showing like who we are kind of naturally and evenly, and like not focusing on like curating like how can I present myself to do like to make the most sales or get the most attention. Like it's very just like, hey guys, what's up? You know? And I think that's important and like refreshing. And then also, I think I mentioned this earlier, is like making decisions from like a human perspective and like from my personal moral perspective, as opposed to making decisions based on like business shit, you know? Like we don't have to like hit profit milestones and like report them to investors and I don't know how that world works, like the corporate world.
Never been there, never heard of her, done that.
Yeah, so just being like ourselves, I guess. And being honest and intentional with what we do.
Absolutely. I mean, it's super ideal for me, honestly, because I've just it's never been a strong point for me to curate things. And I've always like had, like, me personally, my human personality is to want to like connect with other people and make them feel like not alone and like shit like that. So it was a very like natural next step for me to like not even put any effort into trying to like make something appear a way that it's not, or
like construct a facade in any way.
Okay, another one is that like on TikTok especially, like you're very transparent about like your own struggles with like body image and just like that toxic like world, and how like the retail environment a lot of the times like contributes to that. So we just wanted to ask like what's it like opening up to about that, and like viewers and just like TikTok and social media in general about that, and like being vulnerable.
There's like two things I would like to address with that. One of which is like I really struggle with like perpetuating the ideals and things on our own Depop on a daily basis, like not even just on social media, but like when I pose like I pose for clothes. I try to accentuate my like best features, you know, best whatever. And it really frustrates me. And like I've made a few posts like literally on Depop being like, here's the post, like pictures of me unposed and like candid pictures before me in the garment you're about to see, just because I just hate, like it like breaks my heart to think that there's girls out there who like want to look like me, but I don't look like that, you know, like
real body versus posed body.
We know all of this. And like, honestly, I have so much privilege that goes unspoken for like my whiteness and my thinness, like my straight size body. And so I'm like constantly like pulling myself apart, trying to figure out how it literally directly financially benefits me to continue to contort my body into that shape. And like it literally financially benefits me. What can I say? It helps me buy groceries because people perceive a garment
if you make yourself
better,
look good in it.
Because of that. And so it's just like this weird like manipulation of like, I want to be so honest, but I also like can't lose sales. I'm trying to fucking pay for my life in capitalism. Like, what the fuck? So there's that's a whole thing. I still don't know what to do about it. I still don't know how to break up the post. Like I've actually gotten feedback saying like, this isn't a social media platform. Like people being like, why are you posting things like that? And I was just like, I can't do anything right. I can't, I'm just trying, man. So there's that. And what was the other
But then at the same time, the body stuff is very real for you and like a lived experience. You know, like that's,
and for some people, like they just, you know, might not understand as well. So there's that.
Like even I feel like I have learned so much more context to like the realm of body image issues and like the factors that play into it and like things that manipulate young women from Emma and from working with Emma, because I'm like naturally thin and I don't know, like I didn't have any firsthand experience of anything. Like I've never felt conscious of my body. And so to be introduced to like the depths of this issue and like the people it affects and how it affects them has been like very new for me. And from my end, I feel like I'm still just evolving in my understanding of that. And I feel like you are actually like actionable towards tackling this like large subject,
which is another great thing about having multiple people on a Depop shop, because we all have different things to bring. What was my second thing? What was the initial question?
Talking about your body on TikTok.
Yeah.
So my other thing is like, I wish I could give like recommendations on how people can be more authentic. Cause like you said, like you're a little bit more shy online and like worried about people's perception. And like, I wish that I had better things to say, but I literally don't even like think about it. Like, I think I have some sort of like trauma block where I'm like, no one can really see this. These are just little robots interacting with me and like improving my business. Like, I have just decided to like try to let go of like my personal ego. Although I am like, I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed. Like, sometimes like my perception, like the way that people perceive me online, like I don't want to meet someone who's seen me online because that embarrasses the fuck out of me. So I understand there's that like tentativeness, and I want to be able to give some good information on how people need to be more open. Like it's so necessary, but I don't know. I think I would just tell people to try to not think about it. Like
if they want to do it too. But I also don't think it's, some people like aren't in a place where like
equipped
being that vulnerable online is like good for that.
Yeah, very true.
Like
for me it was one of those like outweighs, like it puts me in more pain to think that I'm not trying to help than it does for me to feel embarrassed and shit like that. So
okay, so those were all of like the questions that we had that we sent you guys, but if you have any extra time, I think there's like just a couple more that are extra, but I don't know if you guys are like got anywhere to be.
Yeah,
you have to go soon, but can we do like a rapid fire round? Because I'm
do like
So rapid fire. Do you like either of you sew or like have a desire to make like your own clothes or patterns or anything, or do you just like prefer to thrift items?
I don't have any sewing skills at all, but I want to so bad. Like every woman in my family has made like incredible garments by hand out of like necessity. And I'm like the only one who doesn't know how to do it. So like if I could, I would.
It feels like, I think a lot of vintage sellers would tell you it feels like a logical next step, because not only do you want to kind of like salvage garments that maybe would just be thrown away because someone doesn't want to fix them, and then you can resell them, give them new life. There's that. But then there's also like the idea of like finding fabrics, getting wholesale fabrics and making something out of it.
You can keep up with trends while using like recycled materials.
Stuff
like,
that already exists in the world. Like,
it's so sick. But it's really hard.
So and also like learning a new skill. I haven't learned a new skill in forever.
Super expensive too. Like I want a sewing machine so bad, but like a decent beginner one is like several $100s. You get it new, and then you need like all the thread and a table to put on, like
you have
all
to learn
stuff.
something.
They're super expensive. I like just picked up sewing like kind of in the past year, and I was like borrowing my neighbor's sewing machine. And she was like, and I have like my grandma's old one, and she was like, oh, you can go to this place and they'll like do a tune-up for you. And the tune-up was literally like the cost of what it would be to buy a new one. And they were like, you should just buy a new one. And I was like, I'm trying to do the right thing. Like I'm literally trying so hard to just like use what I have. But he was like, I'm gonna be honest with you, just buy one, just buy it, and buy it from here. Okay, next one, like kind of quick. Basically, I feel like a lot of this might be like kind of common, but I definitely noticed that I did this. But like when you come from sort of like a past of just like fast fashion and like also just consumerism in general, with like the trend cycles being fast and everything, I think that then I started thrifting, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to buy fast fashion. But then also I was like, now I'm going to buy so many things on Depop, and every time I hang out with my friends, what are we going to do? We're going to go to the thrift store. And it's like, I have 7 of these shirts. One of them is short sleeve, one of them is long sleeve, but like they're the same thing. So do you ever feel like you are sort of just like trading like addiction to consumerism for like addiction to vintage consumerism? And then Asha, I like, if you want to add onto that, like, yeah, definitely feel free.
Yeah, mine was just, do you have tips for like purchasing ethically? Like I think a lot about like cost per wear. I don't know if you've heard that concept.
Like 30 wear.
Justify spending money on things a lot, which is not always good, but I don't know, tip. So on the other end, like tips for fighting that.
Yeah.
From the consumerism end, I moved to LA when I was like around 16 or 17, and it's a really expensive city. So like I have a very real constraint that like keeps me from like over consuming even at
your
thrift
closet.
stores. It's like, well, no, like literally just money. It's
well.
ridiculous rent prices in LA. And like for the first handful of years there, I was not making any actual money at all, like in any real way that I had like the flexibility to like.
So first suggestion is to be broke.
Be broke. But no, like give yourself like, if it's something that you struggle with, which I think it's natural to like kind of slowly taper off buying a lot of shit because you're just used to it, you know? And like over time, you'll probably buy less and less and become more intentional, and it's a process, But yeah, like if it's something that someone is struggling with, like set a budget for yourself or look at your closet before you go and be like, okay, what do I really want? Okay, I need new pants and a brown shirt, you know? And then like bring cash with you, like only bring the amount you want to spend. Yeah. And then like spend that. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's the easy way to do it.
Another thing is just like, as much as it hurts, but when you're shopping, if it wasn't an absolute yes, like when you saw it, you were like, then just put it back. Yeah. You know, that's just an easy way to be like.
Or bring a bag of donation, like donate clothes back to the thrift store.
As you're purchasing.
Oh yeah, 1 for 1 kind of.
Yeah. Lots of little ways.
Mm-hmm. Good. Great tips. Okay, last question, and then like, I don't know, like, if you guys have any questions too, but do you think like in general, just like in the realm of sustainability, that there's like a greater pressure on like women? This is like something that we kind of like touch on in a lot of our interviews. It's that like, is there a certain level of sexism just like ingrained into the sustainability movement? Like I feel like there's not a lot of like guys just hanging out. Like, did you thrift that? Is that fashion? Like, where'd you buy your Dickies? Are those from Amazon? I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of differences there.
Yeah. Without getting too into it, because this is a big question, the answer is yes, because like misogyny is ingrained in everything. And also like if you think of the woman stereotype, it's like girls just want to go shopping and like use their boyfriend's credit card and Yeah. So I think that plays into it, because it's like women are seen as the problem when it comes to overconsumption. And then also I think from a more misogynistic view, women are seen as like nurturers and caretakers and responsible for maintaining and tending to everything.
Including like Mother Earth.
Mother Earth. Like
true.
So I think that's part of it as well, is like
and also some of it, you know, it's just everything is a continuous cycle of like furthering each other into nothingness. But another thing is like, you know, consumer guilt and like personal culpability. Since we are the largest consumer in fashion as a group, we do continue to have this like guilt about it, and so it does become a topic of conversation more.
We're also marketed to so much more aggressively, so we are more susceptible to falling into the trap of overconsumption or consuming unethically. But I think the level of blame and pressure that's on especially young women is unfair. And the tone of it is
so demeaning and like condescending.
It is, it is not unaffected by sexism. Like I think it can vary, but in short, it's misogynistic to a degree.
Awesome. Awesome. Do you guys have like any questions that you wanted to ask?
Where are you all from?
I am in like Tustin right now, like Orange County. I was at school, but I'm back this year, and then I'm going back to school next year. But yeah, right now I'm at home doing community.
Cool. How about you guys?
I'm in NorCal right now, like by San Francisco, but I go to UCSB with Sarah.
Oh, okay, cool.
In Santa Barbara from San Francisco.
Fuck yeah.
Cute. So we're all California girls.
Oh God. Fine.
Yeah, I don't know. This was really great. Thank you for reaching out to us. I'm glad we could do it.
Sorry we went on and on.
No,
we talk about this forever. There's so much.
And you were a great interviewer, by the way.
Like, you were. You guys did great.
Did a great job of keeping it on track and also just communicating with me like beforehand leading up to this. So I appreciate it.
Oh, so much. And also like in terms of the social media stuff, I feel like you guys have a very positive platform, like in the whole everything. So if that makes you feel like any type of way, I always like I'm looking at you guys and stuff and I'm like, this is so rad. Like it just feels like a positive force. So
it does not go unnoticed. It's like very helpful and like
I appreciate it. Is that it?
I think that's all.
I think that's it. It was so nice talking to you guys. Like it was so great.
Thank you so much. This has been really fun.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to our Talk About It podcast and interview with BUCKTOOTH. You can support With a Girl by joining our team, sharing with your friends, or just following us on any of our social media platforms. If you'd like to become a sponsor or make a charitable contribution to our community educational fund managed by MarinLink, please reach out to us through our contact page at withitgirls.com. The production of this podcast was made possible by the efforts of many people, especially a With It guy, Christian, in Ohio. Music by Tennessee. We thank you for your continued support. Keep it real with grit and grace.